But it was funny when I first talked to these guys. Oh yeah, we're building Jarvis for molecules. I thought he was going to be joking. It was just like this very straight face. I was like, oh, you're not kidding. And when you first kind of get in there and use it, it's a really compelling and different environment. I've certainly found it a very intuitive type of environment, and just the different sense of the space and the protein. And so if I'm in a pocket or looking between protein interfaces, it's just a much more tangible kind of 3D feel for it.
I started with PyMol and similar 2D-based software. And frequently you will notice those people, structural biologists who do that, constantly move their mouse left and right. In the VR, it's accelerated because one can get in and then instantaneously recognize what fits and what does not fit, what would be beneficial with respect to small molecule structure and whatnot.
And these are a lot of the things that we've felt personally that VR has helped with, is really giving that perspective that's needed to then make what I'll call creative decisions that might not always happen if you didn't have that at your disposal. I can take, and I've done this, some of the most skeptical molecular dynamics, biophysicist types scientists and put them into VR and be able to see some of their receptors that they work on for the first time, and have their face look like they're seeing it for the first time. And so I know that that's been a huge aspect that we've enjoyed.
It is far more useful, far more tactile in nature, to be able to actually hold the protein, analyze the hydrogen bonds across the protein, and in real time observe how it compares to the X-ray ligand. Does it occupy the same subpockets? Does it miss some interactions? Does it introduce any clashes? And if so, let's change it even more to make sure that it fits the pocket better, so that I know what I'm going to make in what orientation, and if there's a certain isomer I want to make. So it's extremely useful to do this in real time.
But really, given the fact that the field has matured and people use different tools, I think that having a platform that allows you to plug in, and there is in fact, a system in Nano to plug in your tools of choice, I think it's very useful.
Kind of a big breakthrough is having this web browser embedded in VR that Nano built. And so then I could directly access the web page just as if I was in kind of the normal world, and do things through it that way. And this allows us access to our job cluster. As I said, our GIST platform runs computational jobs on our cluster and our GPU clusters. And so it's kind of a very nice, powerful way to bring algorithmic information back to the VR visualization as well.
Now, actually, I like to look at the structures in Nanome more and more, instead of just looking at them in COOT that we usually use for X-ray and neutron diffraction, or PyMol, because you can really have a deeper analysis of the structure and interactions that molecules make between each other. With the uracil group change that we did by doing the partial hydrogenation, I would never come up with that if we didn't go into VR and looked at it. We set up meetings every week to go into VR and do all the analysis and then design together, being inside the protein, which is quite not possible to do with any other software.
I've been in a lot of meetings where people are rotating molecules around in PyMol or some visualization tool, and a lot of people in the room just don't see what they're seeing, because again, it's not that intuitive. Once you're in the VR world, it's intuitive to everybody. There's not a lot of learning. It just makes sense. So I think if you're working on structural projects, if you want to gain insights about structure, then you want to check out virtual reality. And we have found this to be so insightful, and just what you can learn about a structure in just a matter of seconds, that normally would be extremely hard to convey.
By being in virtual reality, we could have all these ideas at the same space. People would understand the hypothesis, people would suggest things that made sense, people would challenge each other, until in 1 hour we could come out with a design that we could put in a tier 1 prioritization scheme. And we discussed the idea. 2 days later, our medicinal chemist, he synthesized the molecules. Okay, I've never seen this before, but everyone was so excited about the discussion that they just put this as in the front of their efforts. So the molecule was firstly designed to reach a specific pocket that has never been reached out before for this specific protein. Then the molecule was synthesized a few days later after discussion, submitted to our workflow of biology assays, validating the hypothesis of the activity that we were expecting, improved activity and selectivity. And most beautifully, whatever we designed in virtual reality was actually confirmed by X-ray, meaning we were able to reach that pocket as we did de novo drug design. Before VR, as the computational chemist in this project, I have suggested different things. Some of them were confirmed, some of them were not, but they would always take at least 6 months because different ideas don't go to priority list. But by having everyone there, from discussion to X-ray, it took 4 months. So we are talking about this specific proof of concept project where we could save at least 2 months in getting to something, to a hypothesis tested. And that was the power of VR. Asking about the value of VR, I would say in optimizing uh, the the workflow, like being more effective, coming out with ideas that without VR and bringing everyone together, okay, to discuss ideas, to challenge each other into ideas that are not testable and ideas that are testable, and optimizing the workflow, pretty much getting to better designs, but that you would get it without VR, but in a shorter period of time. That's how I see. And the value is collaboration. How do we reach that? By bringing everyone's expertise together. But I would say being more effective in the drug discovery scenario. We see virtual reality as a tool like not any other tool before because it can bring this immersive interactive component that other technologies like 3D glasses could not do before. And you always have heard about how the 3D glasses helped to have a 3D understanding of protein structures, and that's fine, beautiful. It's true. But what's really interesting about virtual reality is like if we want to be competitive in a drug discovery environment, we need to make sure that we are effective on our decisions, that we bring everyone together. That is, with no doubts, the future of drug discovery. It's not because I'm working with VR and I'm passionate about it. It's I think everyone that's involved in these collaborative projects, they know that we need to count on everyone's perspective. And without doing that, we are just going to be left behind.